Hey everybody, welcome to episode 58. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a, well, not really a departure, but I'm kind of all over the place with these videos. 1 minute it's action figures, 1 minute it's comic books, 1 minute it's movies, 1 minute it's records on LP. But that's just, I guess I'm just cutting my teeth right now. So like I said, I don't have a lot of followers, I'm not monetized, I'm just starting out with this. So I want to kind of explore as much stuff as I can as possible. And just kind of see what sticks. With this one, I'm going to, I'm going to talk about one of my other loves of life, and that is playing the bass guitar. Now, I currently own this one. It's not, I don't have this plugged in. I'll probably end up playing more, and maybe I'll play some for you and stuff. I'm by far, I'm probably intermediate at best. And I've been playing for over 30 years, so I'm definitely not one of these guys you see on YouTube just slapping away, going crazy, and just they're like 22 and they play like they've been playing for 50 years. I'm not one of these people. Remember, I said I don't read very well. I also don't do a lot of things very well. One thing is learn how to play music. I'm pretty stubborn. I forget things a lot. I've got a lot of, like I said, art, drawing is my strongest ability. Everything else is just basically just becomes a hobby at this point. So I'll eventually get that. My son has an audio interface that he never uses, but I'll probably hook it up and I'll get things going. I've been meaning to kind of set up my little practice rig in here with my computer so I can actually play over online with Discord, so I can play for friends and stuff like that. So I'll get that eventually hooked up, and then I can plug everything in, and you guys can hear everything fine. And otherwise, you're not going to hear anything very well. Remember, I'm in a small apartment with paper-thin walls, so, obviously drum sets are out of the question. Even electric kits can get loud, all the banging around. I always have to tell my son to turn his guitar down all the time or put on headphones because, I'm worried about it being too loud. And this thing, when it's, even the amp I got, it's not very big. It's still pretty dang loud, and obviously gonna, annoy a lot of neighbors. So, like I said, living in an apartment, regardless if you're listening to music, on a stereo, you're gaming, whatever you're doing, where there's audio, and you live in an apartment, these are your friends, headphones. And don't be cheap. Buy yourself a good set of them. I mean, these aren't super expensive, but they're probably the best headphones I've had. These are Audio Technica, I think the 700s, I think. I don't know. Yeah, are they the 700s? Yeah, the ATH 8700X headphones. They're open back. So the driver, you can see the driver there, and it goes right onto your ear. They have this like nice, comfortable. I had some AGKs, whatever they were, 80Ks. I had some other ones that I got at Guitar Center that were on sale, and those sounded great, but they weren't very. I mean, they were comfortable, like these, but they had like a fake, plasticky leather headset, and it would make my ears sweat, and having them on for more like 20 minutes or not half an hour, and they just kind of weren't super, comfortable. I had some Behringers that I gave my son, which those sounded great for the price, but they were really unbearable. So I had to invest myself some decent headphones, especially with all the, with the hi-fi back there and listening to records. I wanted something that sounds good. By no means am I a true audiophile. I don't have a lot of money. I buy whatever is affordable for the most part. I want something that's decent but affordable, and like I said, at 50 years old, I don't know how much of my hearing is still intact. So, spending thousands of dollars on audio equipment or musical equipment and stuff is kind of lost on me, because I don't know if I hear that well anymore. I haven't had my ears tested in a very long time. Not planning on getting them tested anytime soon either, unless, it becomes a problem and I need to get some hearing aids. But, yeah, so, if you're like me, if this is a hobby and you're not making money at any of this stuff, I suggest but you still have a passion for it and you love it, I suggest, buy yourself a decent set of headphones. $150. It's not it's expensive, but it's not a huge investment. I mean, I think I even got these on sale for like 125 on sale on Amazon. So $150 for some headphones by name brand. My turntable's Audio Technica. I got the LP70, which is probably the most common right now. The most common, turntable you can get. You can get it at Walmart. Well, I don't know if you can get that one at Walmart, but you can get a version of it at Walmart. You can get it on Amazon, and then that thing sells for about 150. My Yamaha, I got the Yamaha 202, I believe it is. Can't see it from here on my glasses on. I think it's a 202, Yamaha 202 receiver. It was a 200 normal. I got it on sale for 150. So between headphones, turntable, stereo, I do have some Klipsch speakers down there, some bookshelves in my bookshelf. Well, not bookshelves, but my side tables. But that's just, I don't use them that much because obviously, the small room and neighbors right next door, I can't, and above me, I can't crank it. They're basically just so I don't, if I don't want to listen to headphones, I can listen to those at a normal volume, or hear so everybody else can hear. Like my son can hear, listen to records together. But again, those were $100. So what's that? 150, 300. Let's just say 151. It's under $500. I got a decent system. It's beginner level. If you're not super serious into this stuff and you just want equipment to be able to have the stuff, that's the way to go. I find. I've been becoming like this more and more the older I get, to realize is a lot of spending money on these top of the line things, or stuff that's I mean, granted, you get what you pay for. I mean, you pay $5,000 for a bass guitar. I hope that you get a decent, pretty decent guitar, and probably one of the top of the line guitars. So I'm not in any position, or do I care to spend $5,000 on a guitar? I don't even know which one I'd buy. Somebody was just to hand me a $5,000 guitar and said pick any one. I don't know what I would get. Maybe the high-end. But see, I don't even like the high. This is a Spectre, by the way. This is the Spectre Performer 4. But I wouldn't know which Spectre to get. I saw a couple of them that are cool. The really expensive ones. This one, this is the older version. I don't know if anybody knows about Spectre guitars. If you go currently online and you look for a Spectre bass, the Performer 4, which is your entry-level Spectre, there really is only one entry-level Spectre. It's just the Performer 4, because Spectres go from like affordable to astronomically priced really quick. Not even really quick, like instantaneously. So you really, if you want a Spectre, not saying they're the best guitar brand in the world, but if you want one, and you're not going to spend over $1,000, you're going to spend under $1,000, this is what you're going to get. Thing is, if you do that, unless you buy a used one, if you buy the current model of Spectre, Performer 4, you're going to get different pickups. These are EMG, what are those? Those are the EMG 68s, which are the 88s. I can't see anymore. EMG 88s, 88Ds, I'm assuming. These are the, I've seen these pickups in a lot of guitars around that time. I bought this one in 2003, so this one's 20 years old for me. I mean, it was brand new. I don't know, I don't know when they came out. Meaning, this might have came out in like 2000 or 1999. And just this is just when I got it. It was 2003. I bought it brand new at Guitar Center in which Guitar Center? Not the one in Roseville, Michigan, but the one in I think Waterford. I think it's what it is over there on Pontiac Lake Road, I think. I was taking bass lessons there at not Motor City Guitar. Was it Motor City Guitar? Yeah, Motor City Guitar. I think I was taking over there for a while, the bass teacher, and I had before this I had an Ibanez, like 200 series Ibanez, and I started taking lessons there in like the late 90s, and I kept passing the Guitar Center, so I'd stop occasionally, and I went in there one time, and I was kind of like, I want to get a new bass guitar, and I didn't know what to get. I was looking at a bunch of different ones, and this one, I saw this one caught my eye, and I've always, not that I've played them or have seen, have have a lot of experience with, but I always liked the look of Spectres, and there's a lot of people I saw that would play Spectres that I liked. Like Sting played that White Spectre on Synchronicity. I'm sure his is a lot more high end. Who else played Spectre basses? I think the guy from Judas Priest plays Spectre basses, or whatever his name is. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. And I'd seen, that Blue Oyster Cult concert I was telling you about, the one in '92, yeah, that I saw at Todd's Bar when I saw Blue Oyster Cult. I think the reason I really wanted this was because they had one very similar. This was black, and it was sitting on the guitar stand, like right there, as we're waiting for them to come out. And I always thought it looked really cool. I think that's their current bass player now. I can't remember his name is either. Maybe it's a different guy, but they had a black Spectre. Then I thought Spectre, it's all spooky and Blue Oyster Culty. I just thought that was kind of cool. I was going to get a coffin case for this one because I wanted to look all undead, but I never bought the coffin case. They're cool. I'm not saying they're bad. I just never got around. I got a case when I bought it because a guy threw in the case when I bought it for free. So that's the one I've always had. And obviously, I don't know if you noticed, but almost everything I have is black. How much more black can you get this? And the question is, the answer is none more black. Sorry, it's my Spinal Tap reference. But anyways, I like all my stuff black. I like my t-shirts black. I like my coffee black. I like my Russians black. I like, and actually take that back, I like white Russians. But everything I've got for the most part is black. It drove my ex-wife crazy. It drives most of the women that I know in my life crazy because everything I have to have is black. And it's not that I'm trying to be goth or whatever, or it's like, oh, sweet anxiety, for 'tis the winter of my discontent. I'm not trying to be like that. I just like black. I think it looks cool. Black t-shirts make me not look like a fat ass, Black guitars look cool. Black cars look cool. Black motorcycles look cool. I just like black. So everything I have for the most part usually ends up becoming black, I purchase black. And then after a while you notice I look around and go, God, a lot of black things around. But it's actually, this is black, but it's actually, I don't know if you can see it. It's actually, I thought it almost looked like in the light when I first saw it, that it was purple. Because you can see the wood grain in it. And it's got a very light stain, a very dark stain, and then of course it's gloss coated, but you can see the wood grain in it. I thought that looked nice too. I thought that looked really interesting. I like things to be black and like polished looking, almost look plastic, but at the same time I like to know that it's wood, and you can see the wood there. I thought that was cool. Like I said, I really like the EMG pickups. I've played them in. I had a Hohner Steinberger guitar that I bought used from somebody. I still wish I never got rid of that thing. That thing was awesome. I traded it to a friend, and he in turn sold it off or traded it in, and he regrets getting rid of it. I don't know about the original owner if he regrets getting rid of it, but people I've known in my life that have owned that guitar. All regret. It was not a bass; it was a 6-string guitar. I was, dabbling in guitar, the Steinbergers, the headless one. This was like the little box one. It was made by Hohner. Nowadays, you can get a Steinberger. I think it's still Hohner. You can get the Steinberger Spirits. That's one I was considering for the longest time. And I played one at Limelight Music in Rochester Hills over there by Oakland University. I played one afternoon over there, and I really liked it. The headless little box, like Geddy Lee had during like the Grace Under Pressure tour. Very 80s. And I really liked that one. They sell, I think they're the same price as this. I think they're $3.99. And I was like, it's odd too that I paid $3.99 for this in 2003, right? That's 20 years ago. you can buy the same one. Now it's got a different pickup configuration. It's got the single coil, and it's got the dual, or the P-base style, what do they call them, split coil pickups, which I had on the Ibanez 200 series before this. I liked that, but I don't like it as much as the dual humbuckers, and I especially love the EMG humbuckers. I just think they sound really good, and I like, you can I used to play with my fingers a lot, and I still do, but I have a bunch of picks all over the place. Where did they go? I'm starting to play with picks now. Most beginners start out with picks, or guitar players switch to bass usually end up playing with picks because they're used to it. I always started out playing with my fingers just because I saw Geddy Lee and I saw a bunch of these other players. I mean, I saw like Sting use a pick. I knew the difference. Chris Squire uses a pick. But and it wasn't any influence. It's like, oh, if you play with your fingers, you're better. I didn't think about that. I just thought it was just easy to play with my fingers like that, right? And so, you can anchor your thumb here on the pickup, or the bridge note. So yeah, anyway, so I'm just saying is, I think you get more attack with the pickup. And I'm learning some Blue Oyster Cult songs right now, like that whole album of Fire of Unknown Origin, and I just find that you get, picks. And if the song says in there, play with a pick, I just play with a pick, if it's, says in the music, but I've been getting used to that more and more, but I still play with my fingers periodically. I just like the sound better with the pick. Now, I also, like I was saying, there's people who play, even with a pick, way down on the bridge, right? I don't play down on the bridge. I know Chris Squire is a big one. I love his bass playing. He's one of my idols, but I don't like to play down there. I find it way too trebly and twangy. And then, of course, you get right in the middle, to play right in the middle, but sometimes you'll be banging into that pickup all the time. I like to play here, and the closer to the neck as possible without actually hitting the neck, just there's that little pocket there. And and the thing is, because I can palm mute, or sometimes, put my palm, kind of rest your arm here, put your palm on the string, like the E string or the A string, and you can mute better, just like on a guitar, and I find it easier to mute, which also I like the pick, so you can mute. I like that. I think that sounds cool. Get that dud 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 dud. Yeah, so I've been playing with the pick more often now, and again, even if I do play with my fingers, sometimes I don't do this. I actually play right here, and I'm messing with my classical guitar, playing some classical guitar. I also do the same thing. I rest my thumb, if I rest it at all, right on the neck, and obviously I don't just use the neck pickup, but with the dual humbuckers you have the choice. You can use the bridge pickup, the neck pickup, or combine them together. And I usually just do them all open, all out. Volume up on both pickups, both tone knobs all the way up. But to not get that real trebly sound and get more of a bass tone in the lower end, I'll play right there, or if I use my fingers, I'll play there to get that, And you can move across you can do sweeps and stuff if you're doing scales or doing some more complicated lines. You can play like that pretty easily. Like I said, I'm getting fat in my old age, so, and I sit down a lot when I play. I'm fat and old, so I'm just going to sit down. And I'll sit in this chair, and again, I've got my arms here, so, they're padded, but I don't want to be banging into my arms every 5 seconds. So I'll play with it just resting on my giant gut here, and I'll put my thumb there, and I'll play here, so I can go through scales. I can do, then if I play with a pick, I can do the same thing. Sorry, I messed that up. I can go through my scales. I just have a tendency to always play that E minor scale. I know I can play the pentatonic, I can play the major, but what do you call it? I usually sometimes when I want to just more up a little bit, sometimes I'll just play that E minor scale, starting on the 7th fret of the A string, and just kind of sweep across like that, and I can just sweep here. When I get this plugged in and I can play a little bit more, I'll show you the differences, so you kind of know the differences. I guess this might be a good video for beginning bass players if you want to. I mean, I know the basics. I would say if anything, I'm intermediate at best. I don't always play perfectly. I don't always put my fingers, all 4 fingers. And you know what? My hand used to be able to stretch pretty far. I don't have a small hand. I've got long fingers because, I do a lot of drawing and stuff like that. They're pretty long fingers. And, but I can't, and I can stretch the distance, no problem, right? But my hand gets crampy quick now, which it didn't before. And, so I don't usually, a lot of times anymore, I don't even do the proper playing. If you're starting out, I'd say learn the proper way of playing that. Get used to stretching your hand. Try to hit that on a longer, a bass, which has a longer neck than a guitar. Try to do that as much as you can, but, when you get older, and like I said, I'm not a professional, I don't make money doing this, so I could care less if I'm doing it wrong. So I just play it however I feel like I want to play it. And I feel the same thing even if you want to go professional, or you want to be in a band, you want to be a rock star, right? I found that there is proper ways to do everything. Some people call it dogma. Same thing with art. Making comic books too. There's dogma, and people say you have to do it this way. Are they right? Not really. Is it a good idea to try to learn the proper way? Yeah. I would, try to learn as much as you can, and try everything. But, if I also don't say don't play so wrong that, you come up, that you, because, it's not just a matter of other people's opinion and view. I think it just does you a disservice. Don't approach an instrument, guitar or whatever it is, and like this, and go to it totally self-indulgent, experimental, because you're just gonna become a noise dude, or just somebody who's so out there and wacko that, nobody's gonna want to listen to you play, and you're probably not gonna, unless you're really, really full of yourself. You're probably going to realize, God, I should actually learn how to play correctly, right? So I'd say don't be that guy, because I've been that guy before. Oh, I'm going to do everything my own way. I'm going to be super experimental, and I'm so pretentious. I used to be like that for a while, and, I'm not like that anymore. So, try to learn the real way to play it, But for me anymore, if I'm playing an F, right, and I go to the G, I might just slide up to the G because I like that sound. Maybe I'll go from the the D to the C to the D with my index finger, then my ring finger, right? Or sometimes if I'm just where I'm at, I might actually just use my pinky. Sometimes on these larger frets, I don't have the finger strength anymore. I draw all day with this. This hand's strong. This hand's not as strong anymore. So this is pretty much the only workout this hand gets is playing this, or giving myself the stranger. But anyways, if I have to hit, if I'm playing this G and I have to hit this A, and I gotta hit it with both my pinky and my ring finger, so be it. It's just, maybe because I'm going to go to another string and I'm going to move when I should, you should be hitting that with your pinky and then use your, go to that B. You should do this finger, right? But if I'm here playing that G, then I go to that A and I use my 2 fingers, and then I go, and then I move up and go here, right? This G should be played with this finger. This should be played with your pinky. This should be played. That way you can sweep across from that G scale. Play whatever works, If you end up screwing up and you can't play a bass line because you can't play it the proper way, but you found you can play it with no problem the wrong way, play it the wrong way. Whatever works. Sorry. So again, I wanted to mention some stuff about this bass. So I said I've had this bass for 20 years, and it's developed over time a flat spot, supposedly. Now I see it, but I see it, I don't see it. Yeah, I look down the neck, and I had somebody tell me that it's a flat spot right here, right? And they said, oh, that guitars, have a tendency to blah, 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 right? Because the reason I noticed it was I had strings on here for a very long time, and I was like, I need to change the strings, and stupid me ended up buying short scale strings, which, as you can see right there, the string starts to come apart here at the F, because this is these strings are for a short scale bass. This is a long scale bass. I brought the wrong strings, and I didn't want to go out and I want to waste $20 on these strings. So I was like, oh, screw it, I'll just throw them on there. So I threw them on there, and I got buzzing. I got buzzing here, I had buzzing here, and I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong? So I looked at my action, and my action was kind of cockeyed a little bit, so I kind of ended up setting the action again with the saddles here, not doing a proper setup. Just kind of just like I've always done for the last 30 some years, is just tinker with stuff until I got it right. So I adjust this a little bit, and then it's still wrong. And then I never in my life have ever, I guess you can see the Spectre plate's missing. I got to put the plate back on. But I never messed with the truss rod before. I just never touched it. I knew it was there. Sometimes I forgot it was there, but I never really messed with it. And so I was looking online and watching, people do a proper setup, and I was like, okay, not that I know how to do it. I'm just watching what they do on YouTube and going, okay, I see what they're doing. And then I just said, okay, well, maybe I should mess with the truss rod. Now, the guy told me, the guitar tech that told me, his guitar center, he said, there's nothing you can do with that bass, it's shot. Is it? Is it really shot? So I said, okay. It sounded just fine up until I changed the strings. You can't tell me that, it sounds fine, it feels fine. Now it doesn't. Now there's an issue. But you're trying to tell me this flat spot that's developed over time, the whole thing's shot and there's nothing you can do. Okay. So I started monkeying with it. I turned the truss rod. I think I turned it too much the first time. Really reefed on it, and and then boom! Suddenly the buzzes are all gone. With the short scale string, I haven't changed these strings yet. These are still the crappy short scale wrong strings for the bass, and I've changed. I turned the rod. All the buzzing's gone. And okay. I didn't put a cape. You're supposed to put a capo on the 2nd fret and hold it down with the 12th fret and put a feeler gauge, which I have an automotive feeler gauge, which essentially is the same thing. I didn't use it, but and you slip that under the I think the 6th fret and check the thing, and if it's out, it needs to be adjusted. I didn't do any of that. I just went, actually went like a lot, like a full half turn, or maybe even a full turn, just because I wasn't sure if it was moving or not. I was like, is this moving? You got to take a little Allen wrench and do that. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little Allen wrench. It's a bolt head, and then the rod goes all the way through the neck. It's a bolt-on neck. Oops. Yeah, there we go. I'm banging into everything, right? It's a bolt-on neck. So I moved it. The buzzing's gone, but now the action was really high. So, I lowered the action on the saddles here to where I thought it was comfortable. Tuned it up, waited, just put it on the stand, let it sit there overnight. Came to it the next morning, started playing it. No buzz. Action's fine. It could be... It's still fine. It's not super high. It's not super low either. I do notice, then again, I haven't been playing with a pick a lot lately, and I try not to really dig in, like, do the Geddy Lee thing where you really whack the strings and get a lot of attack on the strings with your fingers. I don't, even when I was playing my fingers, I don't play like that, right? I just don't play that aggressively. The string will end up hitting the pickup, right? It doesn't have a problem when you're playing with a pick, right? But it will hit that if you really whack it. But again, I play like this. So even if I'm sitting there galloping away or pedaling away on that E, which seems to be the more, because it looks like it's the lowest. A seems to be a little higher. It doesn't hit that pickup. But again, I've been playing with the pick a lot lately and muting and stuff, so I've really been kind of avoiding that happening. Um, but it's fine. Now, yes, it does need to be professionally set up. I need to take it, probably not Guitar Center. I got the guy that owns the record store, Electric Kitsch, around the block from me. He's also a guitar, or a, whatever they call it, a luthier? Oh no, what's it called? Whatever those people are called that work on stringed instruments, guitars and basses and stuff. A Luther? Luther, Michigan? No. It was the Luther. Anyways, whatever they call him, he he does this. Because he sells some guitars there in the record store, and he does that, and he says $35, and I'll put new strings on it. Well, the strings are $20 alone, so he's only charging me $15 to set it up. I'm going to take him up on it. And I told him this whole story. I told him the story about everything. He's like, no, I think I can fix it. So, for $35, they wanted $70 or $80. $79.99 at Guitar Center to get new strings in the setup, and they're just going to put down the $20 Ernie Ball strings. They'll probably put the right strings on, like the long scales and not the short scales. I've never made that mistake ever in my life. I must have just got carried away by the packaging design. Oh, that looks nice. But anyways, and yeah, I've never really had a problem changing strings ever on any of the basses I had. This is the first one I've had that had an issue. It's also the most expensive bass I've ever had, so I don't think it's a quality issue. So anyways, yeah, I'll have somebody properly set it up, put the right strings on it, because it doesn't, even though the strings are fair, they're about a year old now. I did this a year ago. It needs to be properly done, so I'm just going to have it done at some point. But this one's been the one for the longest time. I mean, like I said, before this I had an Ibanez 200 series, like a blue one. Before that, I didn't have one for a little while, probably about 4 years I didn't have a bass guitar, and I wasn't playing music much. This is in the 90s, like 95 to like 99, 98. Right around there. So maybe 3 years I didn't have a guitar. I ended up buying an Ibanez in 98, I believe. Towards the end of 98. I bought an Ibanez 200 series. Prior to that, in 93, I had a black, it was black too. It was a fretless. It had the frets areas on it, but the frets were removed. And it was a Yamaha fretless bass. It was kind of neat. I mean, I thought it was kind of cool. I had it for a short period of time, but I owed some money to somebody, so I had to get rid of it. But before the Ibanez, the Yamaha fretless, I had another Ibanez. It might have just been a 100. Nah, it was still 200 series, but a different model that I got in 91. Year I graduated high school, like that fall. I had that, and that was my first bass that I owned, was in 91. Now, I learned to play. I just talked to this person not that long ago on Skype, Messenger. And this is a kid from high school. He was a year older than I was. And he let me borrow, and this would have been like 88. He let me borrow what I thought was a Fender Precision P-Bass, like Sunburst with a maple neck. And I really liked the looks of it, and I really was impressed. And for the longest time, that was what I wanted, because it was like the first one I really got my hands on. And it just seemed like that's a bass guitar. Like if you see a quintessential bass guitar, it's like, well, it's a P-Bass, maple neck, Sunburst. You can't go wrong. And I always assumed it was that. I still assumed it to not that long ago, until I actually talked to the person and I said, "Hey, what was that bass?" I thought it was his dad's, because I knew his dad played piano, so I thought it was his dad's, but actually it was his younger brother's. And I borrowed it for a while until I gave it back to him. And I was in high school, and he had it was not a Fender Precision bass. It was a Squier Bullet. And it's like, huh. and it was a short scale. I believe it was a short scale. Or it had a Telecaster neck. Because I remember when I saw a P bass, I went, oh, that headstock is really big. I don't know if that was the same one. Well, it wasn't, because the other one had a Telecaster headstock. And that's a sought-after guitar. Today they don't make them anymore. Now they do make a Squier Bullet Bronco, which is, and they have a sunburst. They have a maple neck. They have a, it's as close to that one as possible, and you can get that one for like $200. And I was considering getting one of those, but then I just thought I went on a rabbit hole about short scale. I'll get to that later. I'll see how much time I got. All right, we're about 35 minutes. I went to so I wanted, and then after that, I had another friend from high school let me borrow. This was like my Rush buddy. He let me borrow he had a Yamaha. I don't know what series it was. I'm going to say it was probably a 2. It wasn't like a beginner bass, but it was like maybe a 2 or 300 series Yamaha red, like a burgundy red. I'm not a huge fan of burgundy red, but it was a Yamaha bass, and he had the matching Yamaha, like a 30-watt Yamaha amplifier to go with it. And I borrowed that from him for pretty much, I think, up until I got the Ibanez. And so I had that one for a long time. And those are the 2 basses I kind of cut my teeth on, were those, 2 borrowed basses. I couldn't afford one. I went to Evola Music in Winchester Mall, I think in like 1989 or 1990. And there was a other friend from high school who was playing the bass, and he was a really rich kid. His parents bought him a Factor bass, he's still in high school. He was a good player. It wasn't, I wasn't like, he couldn't play and his parents bought him. He was a good player. He's passed away actually by now. It's pretty tragic. But anyways, I won't tell about that story. But he had a Factor bass, and he suggested that I should get this also red. And I'm not a big red guitar fan. I obviously like my black. And he had it at, it was at Evola Music, and they had a red Washburn. And you know what? To this day, I still hate Washburn guitars. And I thought I was going to get it. I think he gave me, because he was loaded, he gave me like $20, and he says, here, put it on layaway or whatever, and just come and just pay money a little bit at a time. And I did that for about maybe 6 months, and I got paid like $90 on it. It was like a $300 bass then. And I was like, I need the money for something else, so I ended up pulling the money out of that. I don't think Vola was very happy with me that, but they did give me all my money back, and I said, I'm just going to wait, because like I said, I had 2 people that let me borrow guitars. I mean, they wanted them back, but they weren't in a big hurry to get them back, so I used them, and I basically learned how to play, no lessons, and I had a book, and I went through the book, and I learned, they talked about the techniques, they talked about, what the notes were on the fretboard. But for me, all I did, I must have had, and I probably still do, my hearing's kind of shot, a really good ear for playing. So I would just listen to CDs, tapes, whatever, records, and I would just listen to the bass line, right? And I would just go like, G, no, oh, D, no, what's that? Oh, it sounds like a flatter. Maybe it's a flat, it's C sharp, right? And I'd find that note. Like, okay, now what's he doing? I wasn't playing like crazy Geddy Lee stuff. I wasn't playing, like Free Will, by Rush. That stuff's pretty difficult. But I was like playing like Roxanne, from The Police, or Every Breath You Take, which is literally that's more than 4 chords. But I was listening to a lot of U2 at the time, and he does a lot of those, what Adam Clayton does a lot of those. He just plays, a D a lot. Usually, most of the time he uses a pick, sometimes he uses a thing. In like Streets Have Had No Name, he'll do that. He just does that. He does a lot of those. I like those too. He would just drive on 8th notes. Just sit there and drive on those 8th notes, and then, and just go up and do a slide up. And I really like the sound of that. So I was learning, pretty basic stuff. But I could do it by just listening, I didn't have the internet, I didn't have lessons, I didn't have the sheet music to it, and I would just try to learn how to play it the best as I could, and then, Everybody learned Smoke on the Water. I mean, that was pretty easy. And then, like I said, then I eventually got my own, after I graduated high school, I got my own guitar. And I had also a buddy, it was like the first band I was in, was out of high school, and the old bass player ended up selling me an Ampeg, it was like a 100-watt Ampeg combo amp, and it was really nice. I still wish I had. That was another thing I regret getting rid of. But I got this like Ampeg combo amp. It was really big and heavy, and obviously clunky, and just like most of the amplifiers I had to take around. But that, I had to play with a band, so and be able to match with the drummer. So that thing had enough power to do that. And and I played with those guys. I tried out for some other bands. I ended up playing. I ended up meeting some life friends, and we, my first time I moved out, I moved in with a bunch of guys, and we were recording. We were doing. That was when I went through my kind of experimental phase, where I was just kind of like, not really learning much, but just making a lot of noise and recording it. A lot of effects, that type of thing. Which reminds me of effects. Now I've used this. I picked this up last year. And this is all I use. This is the Zoom BX1. This is the one with the volume pedal, or you can assign a wah there or whatever you want to do. It has 5 banks, so you can have 5 effects going at the same time, and you can pick whatever those effects may be. It's amp simulators, like it simulates an SVT, it simulates a Sans amp. I think it simulates a Sans amp, an SVT Ampeg head. A lot of your classic bass stuff, it'll simulate a lot of that stuff. And it's got, you've got your guitar in, you've got your AC power. Now this thing doesn't have its own on-off switch, so whatever you plug it into, if you don't just plug it into the wall, you're gonna have to unplug it. If you plug it into like a USB to a computer, you're gonna have to unplug that unless your USB you can turn off, which mine does. On there, I can turn my USB off, or hook it up to the power strip and just turn the power strip off. But you got AC power. It also takes batteries. You've got a micro USB out, which will power it, and then you can use an app online to assign the effects to it, and you can do all your dialing in from there. You can do it on the thing, but it's kind of cumbersome. I find doing it on the app's a lot easier. And you've got your different knobs that you're going to assign for your different, whatever pedals you're using. Like I said, you got 5 banks. It's got a bunch of presets. It's got a drum machine built into it. It's got a looper built into it. I mean, it pretty much is, it's got a tuner. You just double click and you can go into the tuner. So you got your inline tuner, like a chromatic tuner. It's got noise gate in there. So if you really, you got to blow a patch, or sorry, blow a bank on the noise gate, but you got a noise gate. And I don't use a lot of effects. I pretty much use a compressor, a chorus pedal, because I like my 80s sound, like my overly chorus bass. I said I watched a bass or something on there, and people were talking about how much they hate the bass tones of the 80s, and everything doesn't sound vintage and blur 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 blur, and they hate the chorusy sound. I love the chorus. I had a Boss Super Chorus back in those days when I had that first Ibanez and that Ampeg amp. And all I played through was I had a Boss compressor sustainer, and I had a Super Chorus. I also had a knockoff phaser pedal, but I didn't use it much. And I would just run those, and they were pretty quiet, although the compressor would add some noise, and I ran them right into the Ampeg, and that was my sound, and I loved that sound. I thought it sounded great. So I kind of mimicked the same thing with this. I'll go into... I start out with a compressor. I think I use the Dynacomp compressor, and then I'll go into a Super Chorus, which is the Boss Super. It's an emulator, but it emulates the Boss Super Chorus. And then I'll go through the noise gate. It's an NXR noise gate, that reduces the noise, and it literally. And I set the threshold a bit, so it's and I set the sustain a little bit, so it'll still ring. And it takes a while until it cuts the note out, but as soon as you stop, it is silent, dead silent. I mean, I could sit there like this, and it'd be no noise whatsoever, and you get nothing until you hit a note. Then it kicks it in, perfect. So I've used 3 banks now. I'll use the I use the SVT bass head, which is the Ampeg SVT head. I think there's a Sans amp in there, so I was using the whatever that other head was too to kind of see the difference. I think I like the SVT a little better, so I use that as my amp, my preamp, or not preamp, but I'm just my driver. And then I've got an open slot. I don't use the cabinet simulator. I just go into a because you can simulate cabinets too. You get like 310 or 410 Ampegs or whatever you want, or Fender Bassman. And then I run then I just use this as a volume pedal. So I take my fifth bank and I use a volume pedal that way. And I always forget to use it too. It's like I'll set my bass down for a second. It's got the noise gate on, so it doesn't make any noise. But all of a sudden, I'll be making noise. It's like, it's like, just hit this, you dummy. I mean, I usually set it on my desk. I don't actually use it on a foot pedal. Because again, this is plastic. It's got like a metal base, but it's plastic, and it's not the best for live performances or for really using a system because it's plastic. You can break it pretty easy. I don't know how tough. It seems pretty durable, this volume pedal, but I don't want to test it. So, I have it sitting here like a keyboard. Just like a device because I'm plugged into it, usually on my computer. And I'll just use that now, and then I can do one of two things. I've ran it out to my amplifier. I have a Rumble 25, Fender Rumble 25. It's kind of hidden over there, but it's way too loud. And just to use the head on it is nice. Instead of using the SVT, I'll use the head on the Rumble because the Rumble has a really good sound to it. I think that it's not as good as the Ampeg, but it's pretty nice. But if I don't want to go through that, because then I have to run my headphones way back from there to me, or I can even run it into my stereo and do a little bit more EQing. But it's kind of, at that point, it's pointless to do that. So I just run the headphones, sitting here, I just run the headphone jack. And so these headphones got a pretty long cord, sometimes too long, but I'll run that. You got to use the adapter because it's a 1/4 inch. You run that in there, and I'll play with these, and they sound, this and these together through this guitar sounds freaking amazing. It doesn't sound, it doesn't have a vintage sound because, like I said, a Spectre is more of a modern style bass, and I don't have anything against vintage. I love vintage. I think vintage stuff sounds great. I think P basses are awesome. I think jazz basses are awesome. It's a subjective, personal opinion. I like the looks of this. I like the more modern feel. I like the rounded edges. I like the smaller body. Like I said, Geddy Lee was playing that wall bass for a long time for like Hold Your Fire and Presto and all that stuff. And I always saw Geddy Lee with that wall bass. This isn't a wall bass, but he had a black wall with, I think, dual humbuckers, and it kind of had the same look to it. And so I kind of equate. Even an Ibanez, you can get an Ibanez looks like this too. Like an Ibanez 200 or 300 series, you can get it all black, rounded like this, which leads me to something I want to tell you before we go here. But I just like that look, and I like that modern 80s sound. Modern. It's 80s. It's 35, almost 40 years ago, and I still call it modern. It's the modern sound. It's modern comic books. It's 1985. That's the modern age of comic books. So, anyways, I like that look. As I said, I like the EMGs. These aren't active, but I like the EMGs, dual humbuckers. I like having the two different tone knobs. Not that it matters, so I usually open them up all the way, so I really only need one tone knob. Or I don't even really need a tone knob. I'm always open all the way, but I like having to be able to turn the tone down if I wanted to. And I play... so that's how I like to play, and I said I absolutely love this thing. I'm probably never. I let my son use it for a while, but I'm never going to get rid of it. He plays guitar, but he wanted to dabble with it a little bit. I think he realized he likes guitar better, and he's a lot better at me. I mean, he is. I won't get into my son right now. My son's. He's definitely what old guys hate. Because he can play this, and with all the bells and whistles that are available now online to learn how to play this stuff, I mean, couldn't be any easier nowadays. And these kids, they can play stuff. I mean, he could play the Randy Rhoads, Mr. Crowley solo in like a day, pretty much note for note, that fast. That would take me the entire summer to even get close, and I'd still probably screw it up. I mean, this Blue Oyster Cult album I'm learning, all the songs on there, a couple of them are taking me a little bit of time. They're a little challenging. I'm just not used to playing certain things. And, I'm just kind of learning it too. Which also, I'll get into that too, how I kind of play this stuff too. I don't like to go note for note. I don't like to match whatever the original bass player is doing. Because, either A, it's too hard to play, and I can't play it, or I just find I want to play it my way, And I've pretty much done that with everything. Art, you name it. I'm just going to do things my way. If it's wrong, I don't care. But I'm going to do it my way. It sounds good to me, and the only person I want to please is me. So, I'll do it whatever way I can accomplish that to please myself, that's what I'm going to do. If somebody likes the stuff that I do, that's fine. But again, I'm not making money at this. I'm not trying to sell my services, even if I talk about this stuff more on my channel, this isn't a dedicated, this is how you learn how to play bass. I'm just giving you, if you like me and you like the stuff that I do and you just want my opinion, this is just what I do. But I'm going to get to, actually I want to get to something else. Oh, straps. So, again, being a fat guy, and with this tiny, slippery, rounded bass, playing it sitting here on your knee like this is really hard to do, and this is a really balanced, there's no neck dive to this bass at all, right? But it'll slip. If you got pants on, which I've got shorts on now, so it's kind of rubs up against my leg, but if you got pants on, or especially like sweatpants on or something like that, zing, it's going to go flying right off you. So even just sitting in a chair, you got to put a strap on, just to keep it strap on. Keep it right in the right position. And I also noticed that, your cheap $5 straps don't cut it anymore. They dig into my shoulder. For me, they don't cut it anymore. They dig into my shoulder. They're not comfortable. I didn't want to go spend like $100 on a leather strap, which is probably what I should have got. Instead, I got this. It's an Ernie Ball. It's, who makes the cheap $5 straps, but it's a thick, padded, and it's stretchy. So I've got it not all the way. Well, pretty much all the way. So, and it also has these cool string locks. They're like temporary string locks. You have to click them, but they won't slip off, and they're kind of neat. I think this was like $35 for the strap. And I have it all the way, closed up, right, as far as the adjusters. And it flexes. It's like being a fat guy and having to wear pants with a little bit of give to it, a little bit of stretch. It's the same thing. Can't get those pants on. Oh, the stretch pants are so nice. Golf shirt. Oh my goodness. You can be a total fat ass and you just feel fine. Same thing with this strap. It's pretty sturdy. Doesn't move. It puts the bass right where I want it, right in front of my big gut. And I can play like this. My son's always telling me he doesn't like the way I play. He says you don't look cool enough, so, he says you look like a bass player. Almost like, it's even classical guitar. I was messing with my classical guitar. I try to play it in the classical position. So, and even I'm using a pick too. It's like you'd think, okay, well, if you're playing with your fingers and you're doing this stuff, but no, even, I can't play it with way down my hip. I'm not that cool, so I can't do that. I just like it right where I want it. So I can just do whatever here. And again, my controls are right here. If I have this hooked up to my computer, the app, I can monitor it that way. If I hook this up with an interface, I can control, that. Everything's right where I want it. I can put my music up on the screen so I can see what I'm trying to play. Or I got this little desk thing comes out. I can print out music and lay it out here. I bought a music stand, but it takes up a lot of room. So I get my son's starting saxophone at junior high now, so I give it to my son to use so he can put his tablet on it. I was using it for that, but I found if I just sit over here, I'm a lot better. And I got my stand over there to put this thing back on, so I'll put it on here right now. My bed, but so I just wanted to show you this thing. So last Black Friday, I was going to get my son an guitar amplifier for Christmas because he just started playing. Remember, my son just started playing last fall. It's almost been a year, and he's playing like he's been playing for 10 years. So anyways, I got this thing. I didn't say I always wanted one, but I always wanted to mess with one. So I bought this. Again, it's black. This is an Ibanez. This is I can't remember what the series is, but this is the Ibanez acoustic electric bass. And I read some reviews. I didn't read any reviews. I just bought it because it was on sale. I got like a crazy deal on it, and they threw in the case for free. So I was like, okay, well that's pretty cheap. So even if it sucks or I don't like it, it's not a lot of money out the door. But I bought it. I played with it a little bit. Let's see. I don't know if it's still buzzing. It was buzzing. I had to adjust it a little bit because of the humidity. It's an acoustic. It's a concert style. It's not a dreadnought. It's a concert style, but it is huge. And again, Mr. Fat Guy, right? This thing is so hard. I cannot, even with the strap on, I cannot get comfortable. I can't even see the fretboard right now. I mean, I'm pretty good where don't have to always look at the fretboard, but I like to glance down periodically, and I can't see the fretboard when it's like this. If I could play perfectly without looking, I guess it wouldn't be an issue, but this was appealing at first. And I gotta say, I bought it, and I was pretty happy with it right out of the gate. And then about a month goes by, and I tried playing it in my room, and I tried playing it out in the living room, and I tried playing it, and it's just like, oh my god, this thing is so unruly. I mean, it's so big. You might as well just be playing a stand-up bass, or you could just grab a cello for that price, for that matter, and just throw a cello on your lap. This thing is really hard to play. It looks cool. It sounds great for the price. It sounds amazing. I don't have it plugged in, but I mean, it's got nice tone. It's got nice tone to it. Even the low, there's an open E with a pick. Nice growl to it. I mean, it sounds like an acoustic bass, right? That sounds nice. It's got sustain to. I mean, it's an acoustic. It's going to have all the stuff that an acoustic guitar has. Even with a pick, is it loud enough to play while somebody's playing an acoustic, playing chords? No. The people online that talk about this thing, thinking that you're going to buy this and go sit around a beach somewhere with an acoustic guitar player and put on a little concert for your friends there, or try to impress the ladies. It ain't gonna work. If you're gonna play with a guitar player or a band or drummer or anything, you gotta amp it up, and it's electric, so you can do that. It's got a built-in tuner, which is nice. It's got a bass and treble control. It's got a volume control. A little 9-volt battery rate powers the whole deal. And it sounds. If you put it through I put it through that zoom pedal, put some chorus on it, put some compression on it. And so noise gate to kind of get rid of some of the hum. You play it, it sounds amazing. I mean, there's no getting around the sound to it. It sounds perfect. I mean, it's really nice. Playing it is a problem. Storing it is a problem. Even if I put 2 guitar stands over there, I gave my son the other guitar stand. He got another guitar. Gave him a guitar stand. Now my second guitar stand's gone, so I have nowhere to put it, to leave it out. And even if I did, I have nowhere to put it. I mean, on my acoustic, my classicals in its gig bag sitting over in the corner, I don't have anywhere to put that either. So I'm seriously considering getting rid of it. And I'm most likely, I'm going to take a bath on it, but the thing is, I didn't pay that much for it to begin with, but I'm going to probably take it to Guitar Center, and I'm probably going to trade it in on something, and I'll throw the case in there too. I might get $100 if I'm lucky, maybe 150 in trade-in value. Maybe with the case I'll get 150, who knows. I think they sell for 200 used, so they'll probably give me half that. I didn't pay much more than that. I'm not going to tell you what I paid, but I paid about the price you pay for it used during the Black Friday sale. So it's in great condition. If they tell me there's a problem with it, I'm going to say, well, I don't know how that happened, because it's not even a year old. It's barely been played, and it's not set in its case. Though I mean, I took it out and made sure it could breathe, because this is an acoustic. You have to, you have to take care of this stuff. and it's been pretty well maintained. It still has the original strings on it. You know, the batteries are still the original battery in there. It's just like, it's like, oh, well, there's a problem with it. Well, I don't know how that happened because this has gone through. I hate to see what would happen if somebody actually used this for a year as their primary instrument, you know. So I'd like to get, a little bit of money for it, and I might trade it in on something that I had my eye on. I'm not going to get rid of the Spectre. I'm going to get it set up and get it, fixed a little bit, but I'm not going to get rid of it. But I'm probably going to get rid of it. I tried to pawn this off of my son, just give it to him. He ain't taking it. He's a kid anyways. He's like, well, Dad, I can't play it. It's huge. I'm like, I can't play it. It's huge. So, it was an impulse buy. I thought maybe, I thought the same thing. I'm just going to go acoustic, and I don't need an amp, and I can play with acoustic guitar players, and I've always wanted something like this. A little Bauhaus there. Anyways, yeah, I thought it looked cool, but yeah, it's not going to work. So, I'll continue to maintain it while I own it. And, like I said, I don't want to kill it. But I'm going to trade it off, or if somebody wants to buy it off, sell it to them. But I do have my eye on, how much time have I got? Oh, I've gone an hour. All right. So I was going to show you a bunch of stuff on, I was going to show you a bunch of stuff online. Let me just click it over real quick here. Bear with me. So here's Guitar Center. What I was looking at was this, and I'll tell you why. You probably know why if you're into basses and stuff. But I'm looking at just getting a, let's go with, I guess the easiest way is to go to Ibanez. And not that I'm not, Ibanez isn't my preferred brand, but I do like Ibanez's. There's a 300 series, there's a 500 series. I'm going to probably try one of these out. Here's one right here. I'll get the black one, of course. But is this Ibanez GSR M20 Micro short scale bass. Now, it's essentially, something you would get like my son to learn how to play bass because it's small, and smaller hands, But the thing is, I played these in the store, and there is no sacrifice in tone. I mean, this micro bass sounds just as good as a 200 series Ibanez. It's got the same pickups in it. The body is a little smaller. The neck's obviously shorter, but it didn't sound like there's no lack of tone to this. It's not like it sounds more, like a higher, pitch to it. It sounds like a bass guitar, and it plays like a bass guitar, and it plays pretty much just like the Ibanez, the 200 series regular long scale, except for it's got a short neck. Remember what I was saying? Don't have a lot of room here. Got a fat gut. I'm just playing in my bedroom. This thing is the ultimate bedroom jammer. If you don't bang my monitor when I go turn my chair. If you want something that's, I don't have to stretch as much. My hand doesn't get as fatigued, and the frets are pretty much full size frets. They're a little smaller. The neck's actually not even thinner. It's just a shorter neck. But for the most part, it's not like playing like a junior acoustic or a junior regular guitar where it's like I got these adult fingers and I can't play it. No, this thing plays just fine. And it's so much easier to play. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much easier. I mean, even the Spectre, it's pretty much the same type of guitar. It's a modern, style like that, and it's even easier to play than that. I throw a strap on it, just support it on the old gutster here, and plug it into the Zoom, and Bob's your uncle. So for $200, that's what I should have got instead of that. So that's gonna go. And I'll probably, I don't even need the case, I mean, they make a gig. I'll get the gig bag for it eventually. It's not like I'm going to take it anywhere, but, I'm going to let the Spectre sit for a while, Again, I'll try to get it set up, and I won't, I'm not going to get rid of it, but as far as just sitting in my room here and bedroom jamming to, like my Blue Oyster Cult album that I'm learning, that's the way to go, Sure, you can get like the Fender, or Squire P-bass version, but then again, now you're running into the same thing. It's a bigger guitar. This thing is tiny, it's smooth, it's sleek, it plays amazing, and frankly, I think it sounds better than the Fender Micro. I think it sounds better than the Squire Micro. I think it sounds better than the Squire full size too. This thing sounds really amazing. There's people out there absolutely cannot stand Ibanez's, and I'm not one of those people. I'm not fond of Jackson guitars, but Ibanez I haven't really had an issue with. I mean, it was my first real bass. I had 2 of them in my life, so I don't have an issue with them. I think they're fine. You know, are they great? Are they a $5,000 Spectre? No. Are they, some crazy, vintage jazz bass? Some vintage '69 jazz bass? No. Is it good for a guy who intermediate level who sits in his bedroom and just plays along with albums? Yes, it's perfect. Well, there we go. And same with the pedals. I mean, I could, I can go out and build a pedal board. I could go buy, a nice snazzy Boss one of these. It's better built. But this thing was $100. I think I got it on Amazon for less than. It was like $89. It was on sale. I got it for like the same price the one without. They also make one without the volume pedal on it. It was that same price. The adapter was $10 or whatever, the 9-volt adapter. I mean, for this thing and for as much room as it takes up, and it's just going to sit on my desk anyways. That's all I need. I'll plug in a $200, kitty bass into it, and just sit here and jam in my room. Does the job. Is it gonna, am I gonna make all the chicks swoon? No. Am I gonna, make all the, the what do you call it? The real musicians think I'm a god? No. Is it gonna impress anybody? No. It's gonna impress me though. That's all I really care about. So there's that. Like I said, I don't want to go too longer, but here, let me just hit you with a couple other websites here. So I also use Ultimate Guitar is probably my primary site that I use. I don't have a membership. I got it on my tablet, but I don't have a paid membership. I just use the free version of it. Like Blue Oyster called Chords and Tabs. You can click on the bass. I don't like the way the bass tab's set up on most of these. They're hard to read. Obviously, don't need guitar tabs. So, just like the acoustic, when I was learning the classical guitar, to play some guitar, I used to do the same thing. I just go, let's find the song I'm looking for. Let's towards the bottom. Vengeance the Pact off of Fire of Unknown Origin. Great song, by the way. Awesome song, by the way. If you like that, like I said, if you like the heavy metal of the movie, you're going to like this song. It just gives you the chords. Here's guitar chords. And it gives you the lyrics. And I find it's a lot easier to know where I'm at in a song by looking at the lyrics, because I'm probably going to sing along with it. I'm not a great singer. I can barely sing in tune or in key or whatever. I'm very pitchy. I have great falsetto voice. But anyways, I can actually sing in falsetto. And I can sing in tune and on pitch, but I can't do it with my real voice. But I'll sing along with the songs because I'm used to now singing and playing. I never could do that before. Now I sing and play together from playing the classical guitar. And I'll sing along and I'll play the song, and I know where I'm at in the song because I know because of the lyrics, and I know when I hit beat, right, I'm going to hit an A, an A minor on the guitar, but I'm going to hit an A. I'm going to play the root, right? I am a lazy bass player. I first want to admit it. I know where the fifths are. I know where the thirds are. I can play the fifths and the thirds. Once in a while I do, depends on what it is, but I'm a lazy bass player. I do a lot of eighth notes, or even triplets. I do a lot of that, and I just pedal on the note. So if I'm going to play, or here you go, A minor, to defend, if you play that, I'm just going to hit the bung, 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 and then it goes into the F, bung, C, C, G, A minor, right? This is the pact. I'm going to play the do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. I'm not going to go do-do-do-do-do-do, and I'm not going to play that and try to add a bunch of notes in there just to showboat. I'm just going to play the nuts and bolts of the song. There's certain, like the opening line is a little do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I'll play that real quick. So they got the, right? Do 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 do. That's right there. So you can just play that, but I know where it's at, and I know when it's coming. And then you switch it up, I think, to an A and play it on the A towards the end right here. But I know the line. I just go up a string because you're coming off the A from this end of this this part here. And this is a nice, cool song, like I said. So I'm learning all the songs on that album to play. I got Burning for You down. I've got Soul Survivor down. Great. That's also got kind of a cool bass line to it. I've got Heavy Metal Black and Silver. I'm working on that one currently. That one's pretty easy. That's got a cool, I love that. It's got that into it. And that one that one does play the root, the third and the fifth. Yeah, it does that for the verse. And I'll play it for that, just because it's pretty easy to play that part. But yeah, so I use this site pretty much exclusively. Now, if I have to, I'll go to like Songster here, his same song, Vengeance the Pact, and you can play it and hear it, here. But I'll go through and I'll look at the fills. Like, this is the actual way to play the song. I'm like going, do I want to play all? I mean, this is actually that opening riff. So I play this pretty much the same. Do 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 do. That. And it goes to the dun 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 dun. No, the Fs. Dun 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 dun. I don't even play this G here. I just keep playing the Fs. Dum bum 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 bum. Ba da 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 da. It just goes back into the riff. And it's labeled. You got the intro. You got the verse. You can play it. I don't have a membership to the either, so I can't print it or do any of that stuff. But if I need to look at the actual bass tabs because there's a part I can't figure out with just the chords, I'll go and look at this. But I'll probably usually learn it and then ignore it, and just play it however I want to play it, or I won't play it in the same way they show you how to play it. That's the good thing is if you've memorized the neck, you can find where to you can play you can transpose it to whatever you want, or not transpose it as far as different keys, but you can move it around and play it at different spots. Some places might be easier to play, might be easier to mute a string so it doesn't ring out, that type of thing. Yeah, obviously playing a lot of open A's, open E's and stuff, those things ring, so you gotta do something about it when you go to the next note, otherwise you're gonna get this mud. So there's ways to figure out how to do that, but that's the other thing I do there. Other than that, that's pretty much what I wanted to show you for this. I guess this is going to be my longest video. It's outside of art. If I was to do an art video on making comic books, we'd be here for a week. So there's a lot I could tell you on that. But this is probably my second, outside of music, this is probably my second favorite pastime is playing this guy here. And playing music in general, whether it's classical guitar. Like I said, I don't play a normal electric guitar, and I'm terrible at it anyways. But this is my favorite pastime to do also, so it's my hobby. So, yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. I'll probably talk about some more of it eventually. If I get that new bass, I'll tell you how that went. I'll show you that thing. And I want to plug this in eventually to my computer so you guys can actually hear it for real. Because I'm not going to play it through the amp. It's not going to sound good. And, it's got to be plugged in with an interface properly so you're getting the actual sound of the instrument. I got to figure out, I think there's software I got to download to do that too. So I'll get that, sorted out, and then I'll play you some stuff, and maybe I can't see. The other thing is we're playing music here, and I can get dinged on copyright violation really quick. I'm already getting dinged on playing clips like the clip from Dune. That was too long, so I got dinged on that. So it's also hard to do that, especially if I want to get this monetized at some point. But I think we're fine showing you just a couple of lines. I think we're okay with doing that. And just so you can hear the difference, and I can explain how all that stuff works, and you can hear it in real time, and you don't have to be like, what the hell is he talking about? If you're a bass player, or a musician, a guitar player, you know what I'm talking about probably. That, or I'm just talking out my ass, one of the two. But yeah, so we'll set up that later. I also want to leave you guys on this because there's a video coming up soon. Once I get the stuff, I ordered some stuff, and I want you to take a guess and put it in the comments and tell me if you can guess. There's a new band, or they're relatively new. Their first studio album came out in 2010. And if you know me and you've watched this stuff and you know the type of music I listen to, you might know there's a new band, newish band, that I really like. And dare I say it, they're probably my new favorite band of all time. I've only listened to the first 2 albums. They've got 5 studio albums. They've got a bunch of EPs. They got 1 live album. They just played in Michigan. I'm giving too much away. I didn't go to the concert, but I'll tell you that story in the video on it. But they just played in Michigan at Pine Kanab. I'll leave it at that, because you might not even know what Pine Kanab is, because it's not called Pine Kanab anymore. But see if you can guess it and put it in there. It's a band. Right, just put in the comments the name of the band if you think you know what band I'm talking about. And when I ordered the second album, because the first album, I've given away more too. First album is still on pre-order. It's not out yet. Comes out in September. But I ordered the first album, or the second album, and I ordered the T-shirt for it. So maybe I'll wear more than just black. It's a black T-shirt, but it's a black band T-shirt. I'll wear it and do the video, and I'll go over, what I've discovered with this band. But like I said, go into the comments now. If I've talked to you already about this, like as in one of my friends, don't put it in there and spoil it for people, because you know that I know that you know what it is. But if you're somebody who doesn't generally know, or I haven't talked about this yet, look them up, or give me your guess. Give me your best guess who you think they are, and see if you're right when I make that video. I'm thinking I'm probably going to make it. It'll probably air maybe Friday, maybe not till next Monday, but I'm going to make the video very shortly. I think this video is going to go out on Thursday, I can't remember. Anyways, but let me know, and remember to subscribe. Help me build this up so that, I can monetize this. Like I said, the more money I get making this, the more time I can spend on this and less time on the other stuff. Not that I'm trying to replace one for the other. I'm just saying this. I'm just adding this, and this, like I said, this is fun for me. So it's cathartic for me to do this. So yeah, subscribe and help me out, and I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later. All right, bye bye.